Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another Overcast by your podcast by your boys at Save Point. Today, we are going to be reviewing the movie formerly known as Black Panther. Hashtag. And who we have here for today, we have SP Crash,
Yo,
we got JRPG,
we're gonna get the people what they want.
myself, and then we have Yume Sora.
Sup?
All right, so now just go ahead and we're gonna get started. We're gonna just start with the obvious. Was this movie bad?
That be no.
Not at all.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
All right, everybody. You know the movie wasn't going bad. Go see it. It's all right. End of the podcast. Bye.
It was great.
Black man, superhero, Africa, Wakanda, Cucumber.
Cucumber.
And I think it's universally known now that every black person now gotta shake hands like Shuri and T'Challa did. I think like that's like a universal handshake now.
To be fair, and this is absolutely hilarious, I actually did that with somebody at work today. Random person, didn't even know her.
Anyway, DC, how did overall? What's your overall opinion on the movie so far? I mean, like, how did you feel? What would you rate it?
I honestly would rate this a 9.5. I think I was probably the best origin story for a Marvel character that I've ever seen. It was the one. It was the one that was most comic. It was the one that was not afraid to use the source material and did it, and it was like, man, you did not butcher this person's story. Granted, they changed a few things about the relationships between certain characters, but nothing else. They kept everything as is. Like when they explain at the beginning, and this will be spoiler. So I mean, if you have not seen it, you might want to stop right here. And go see the movie and come-
Look. Let's try to keep completely away from the major spoilers, please.
Okay. I'm okay. Okay. We can try. We can try. I feel like it's gonna slip up, but we can try. Just at the beginning of the movie, how they explain Wakanda's origin as well as the origin for the Black Panther. I feel like that was, and they included the heart-shaped herb. When they included that in there, I feel like when I saw that, I was like, man, they were not afraid to use the mysticism of Black Panther. And so that let me know right there, like, man, this is about to be really good when I saw that. Now, my question, I guess, to you guys is, being the fact that you guys, when you saw the movie, as you guys were watching it, what did you rate it, and what was some things that really stuck out to you? I'm gonna start off with Crash.
My rating is a little lower than yours. I rated it at an 8.5. While I do agree with you completely about the origin story part for a Marvel character, I will say there were a couple things in the movie that kind of dropped at a couple points, but it wasn't because of, oh man, this is like bad. It's just like, this could have been done a little bit better, or this was a little lackluster in this area. It didn't tear down the movie at all. One of the major things that I liked about the movie is with each character, they didn't skimp on exploring why that character was particularly a character. Like something that I notice in a lot of Marvel movies, they'll throw in characters that are supposed to be quote unquote important, and really that character is not all that important. It's like they're supposed to be important, but they're just kind of there just because they're there for the reference. While a lot of the characters in this movie were actually there, they were actually important, and for their importance, they actually had each role kind of down for what they were supposed to be there for. And I like that. That was like really, really good. Even like the minor characters, or the minor characters are actually like major plot points in the story, and I actually really like how they did.
Right. I can see that. What about you, JRPG? Since you actually just seen the movie.
Yeah, I saw it today actually. I gave it a 9 actually. Reason why I give it a 9 was overall the story was great, fantastic. Love the characters. Zuria's actually was my favorite character during that whole movie actually. Um, the reason why I didn't give it a perfect score of 10 was the final fight scene between T'Challa and Killmonger. I thought, but I mean, it was a little bit lackluster in my opinion because their fight scene there was basically a war going on the outside, and it kept going back and forth in between both fights. I couldn't really get invested as much into both fights because I'm like, all right, it's just too much. Like I felt like I don't know, it was like a little bit too much going on right there. But overall, like the story, the origin story, and really, the character himself, I would say he hands down probably the best Marvel film I've seen ever. To be honest with you, like it was really good. The
Yeah.
pacing was good. It wasn't like slow. It wasn't too fast. It wasn't rushed or anything. It was really like it got from point A to point B to point C all the way to the ending, and it was very balanced in my opinion. So that was my take on the movie.
What about you, you man? Because
Okay,
this is a point I want to
so
address. We all are done.
okay, so yeah, I guess my score is the lowest. I mean, not like I'm hating on the movie or anything. I actually really enjoyed the movie, and I agree with all of your points. But I thought that the movie was very good visually. I loved everything they added. All the special effects and everything looked clean, crisp. The origin was laid out very well. If you didn't know anything about Black Panther, they gave you enough information to go off of if you want to dig into it or not. So I thought that was pretty dope. It actually made me want to read up on Black Panther even more. Um, I would give it an 8, and the only reason I give it like a solid 8 is for
Rotten
like
Tomatoes.
two, huh?
I was like, Rotten Tomatoes over here.
But I mean, I only give it an 8 because I wasn't really thinking about like 0.5s or anything like that. I just basically took 2 points off of it, and that was basically because I really liked Killmonger as a villain. I thought his role was really cool, really strong, and I just don't feel like they spent enough time really like on him, if that makes any sense. Like it's like, yeah, you've seen him a good amount of time, but it just doesn't feel like it was enough. And then my other point was basically saying the same thing JP said as far as the fight scene at the end. It was kind of lackluster. Like everything built up to that moment, and the finale just kind of fell flat as far as to me. But yeah, other than that, man, I love the movie like all the way through. So I would definitely go see it. I would actually pay to go see that movie again. So
Like I definitely get all of you guys' opinions because I know when I watched it and I watched the third act of the movie, I was like, okay, well, and then when it was finally resolved, I get the fact that it wasn't so much of a fight, physical fight. It was more of a thing. It was more of an ideal, a fight of ideals.
and
Um,
that makes sense. Like I agree with you there. Only if they didn't have the whole army fighting outside.
well,
Like
I
that's
think.
what kind of like.
Oh, go
What'd you
ahead.
say?
Go ahead.
I was just saying like that's what kind of like it kind of tore you away from like the strong impact that the fight between T'Challa and Killmonger would have had. Like on its own, I would have felt all of that. I would have felt that rage from Killmonger. I would have felt that sense of trying to save his country from T'Challa. But between the two going on, you can't really focus on one, especially when they were switching back and forth repeatedly like they were doing. It's like you spend like 5 seconds on the fight that's going on outside, then 5 seconds on the fight that's going on inside. Your mind's not really You know what I'm saying? Like prepared to take in all that information, understand it all at once. But other than that, like I understand what you're saying. I understand what they were probably trying to do, going off of your opinion of what you were saying. But I just feel like because of the fight that was going on outside, you couldn't fully invest in that.
Well, yeah, like, and I think the fight outside was meant to be the same thing. Like, you had those that like more of the same versus those that's like, look, we need to change. Like, the world has changed and we need to change with it. But I think like my probably movie, my only problem with the movie is the same problem I have with the rest of the Marvel movies in general, which I pray to God that Infinity War do not have this problem because I would be so hurt. For and Part 4 as well, but they have a villain problem. Like they keep killing off their villains, and I don't know if they understand this, but you running out of people that's actually credible villains.
Mm-hmm.
And you gonna mess around and put yourself into a corner where you're trying to make A-list, where you're trying to make C-list villains like Vulture into A-list villains, and it's just like it doesn't work. Like Vulture, like Spider-Man. Only reason why the Vulture and Spider-Man worked was because of the connection he had to Peter Parker. Number one, and number two, we have never seen Vulture on the TV screen.
Also,
On
they
the
had to alter him to make him worth it too.
exactly. Yeah. Other than that, like he would not have been a credible threat. And even in the movie, he still wasn't that big of a credible threat. Mm-hmm. So it's just like you kind of gonna run into that situation where you have all these heroes, but these heroes can't fight nobody.
Well, I mean, we're going into Infinity War, so I mean, I guess if you put your mind in the state where it's like, okay, we're going into Infinity War, you know, at some point most of this stuff is going to end up getting retconned anyway. So,
right. I mean, Time Stone, like that's straight time travel.
right. So,
but you know, even getting back to and I say that to say with Black Panther, that I feel like they shouldn't have killed Claw off.
Yeah, I was shocked about that. So yeah, I agree with you.
I felt like that was somebody that really could have been used later down the line. And only reason why I don't feel like that about Killmonger is because later on they do some stuff in the comic books with him where this dude basically comes back like 3 times. So it's like, oh, okay, you're basically like the Jean Grey of Wakanda. Gotcha. So, I mean, that's kind of how I look at it. But now this is something me and Crash was talking about off cue, and I wanted to present it to you guys. Just we've had 2 really good origin stories in 1 year. In the past year, we have Wonder Woman and we have had Black Panther. Now, which one do you guys, in your opinion, did an origin better?
I can't comment on this one because I didn't see Wonder Woman, so obviously I'm biased. No, so obviously I'm going to be biased and say Black Panther compared to all the other origin movies that I've seen. So
now, Crash, do you want to share what your thoughts was about that?
Well, when I because I know we had a brief discussion about it, I think that in the idea of an origin story, I do believe that Wonder Woman's origin story was a little bit better, but I also believe that was due to how they introduced Black Panther in the Civil War movie to how they introduced Wonder Woman. Like they were actually able to jump all the way back into Wonder Woman's story to make that work. With Black Panther's, his origin story technically happened after he was already like a character. So I feel like that kind of played a little bit of a role in how they had to make the movie work out. With that being said, I feel like Wonder Woman as a whole paced out extremely well until they got to the villain. Like when they got to the villain, that was the point in the Wonder Woman movie of which the story itself, like the movie itself, kind of like edged off a couple of points. While for Black Panther, I feel like the story had a few moments where I feel like they kind of had to cut a couple of corners, and the movie was actually a little bit shorter than I expected because of that.
Yeah, I did expect that movie to be a little longer.
And yeah, and I mean, we're gonna get into a portion of the podcast where we'll actually jump into spoilers, and I'll give a better explanation of that. But I just didn't want to start everybody off straight into spoilers. I want at least the people who haven't seen the movie to kind of get an idea, and then once we jump into the actual spoilers, yeah, like straight warning, you ain't seen it, yeah, just go ahead and, you know, just hit that stop button until you go see it, and then come back and then listen and understand what's going on. But more or less, I only feel like Wonder Woman's origin story was a little bit better because from start to finish, you watched her ideals change from one end to a new end, move basically up from there, and then they're able to jump to the future to understand at the end of her movie how her mindset had altered up into the next movie. And even when they went into the next DC movie, which movie was that?
Justice League.
Yeah.
My brain is. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Justice League.
Yes, Justice League. I'm sorry. I don't know why my brain was blanking out. Even when they jumped into Justice League, they even expanded on her personality through the way that they were doing it in Justice League. From there, like literally leading off of her origin story, the Batman v Superman to Justice League, and I feel like her pacing as a character was pretty cool.
It's kind of funny because they never really have a hard time writing Wonder Woman, like at all, like never. As far as like jumping from like cartoons to animated movies to actual motion pictures, they never really have a hard time writing Wonder Woman.
Well, that's because Wonder Woman's origin story is not that hard of a character, because you go from you seeing the world through these rose-colored glasses to you seeing the reality of the world to you seeing those rose-colored glasses, while looking at the world always that way, doesn't help, and you need to see the reality. It's good to hope that maybe that whatever you see in those rose-colored glasses could be true.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same thing which is why, like, when I posed this question, I kind of was sitting down thinking about it myself, like, man, which one kind of do I like better? And I would probably say, like, honestly, I still can't answer that question even to this day, because they both did origin stories so well.
Okay, I got a question for you, at least pertaining to Marvel. So how would you rate your Marvel movies now? Because mine has gone straight to Black Panther, Winter Soldier, Civil War.
Man, like I was talking. Me and my fiance was talking about the same thing, and I think I probably would say, like, I don't know which one would be number one or number two between Winter Soldier and Black Panther. Like, I don't know. Like,
Winter Soldier was so good, but I have to put Black Panther in front of Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier was good, but the thing that here's the thing that I look at. If you took the superhero aspect out of Black Panther, would it still work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would.
See, while I do say while it seems that way, that means you take all of the mysticism out of it. You take the idea of, like, the spies and the ideas of the spies and things like that will stay. But just the superhuman strength and the super aspect of it, I mean, would it still be that same of an interesting movie?
Yes, I mean, and I'm gonna explain to you why.
It would be Cat Batman.
Well, I'm sorry. I guess you may wanted to just go ahead and break that straight into it. But yes, he would be Cat Batman. Yeah, he has super strength and all of this stuff, but you also have to remember that suit did a lot of work for him as a superhero. But you also have to remember that a lot of the stuff that he was doing as far as his origin story, he was taken away from the powers that he had.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the major fight scenes, he didn't really have powers. Yeah, at the end he had his powers, but he was on an equal playing field with someone else who had the same powers at the time. And then outside of that, he was pretty much a normal person. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like it still would work regardless if he had his powers. And just because he doesn't have his powers doesn't mean the mysticism has to go. Think about it. I mean, you still got, let's say, Captain America. Yeah, he's a super soldier, but he doesn't really have powers, so to say. And his movies work out fine.
Well, Captain America do have powers. Like, he has super strength, stamina, speed. You don't necessarily see his speed or whatever in the movies, but he's relatively fast.
Yeah, but hear me out on this. You only really see Black Panther doing any sort of superhero, quote-unquote, level things while he's wearing the suit that enhances his abilities automatically. So once again, it goes into the thing that you may say, he's Cat Batman. It would work.
I mean, yeah, like
that's just like saying, does mysticism work in Batman? Well, hell yeah, half of the damn shit that goes on in there is about like mysticism and weird stuff like that. So, in my opinion, I think it will work out just the same.
Well, that's kind of where I was torn, because I was like, man, like I know for a fact, like if you take the superhero aspect out of Winter Soldier is an amazing spy movie. It in my opinion would be a great, if you made that into like a 007 movie, that would be an amazing movie.
I can see why you say that.
That's why I'm saying like I don't know, like I would say maybe Winter Soldier tops off because the payoff. Looking at it in the full scope, Winter Soldier's payoff is a lot better than Black Panther. Because
I still feel like Black Panther still would have been good without, like, if you Crash said, if you strip the superpowers from Black Panther, the only thing that would have really been missing would be the car chasing.
Well, no, not really, because once again, that suit did most of the work for him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you took the superhero aspect from it, like that'd be the scene that would be missing because the suit did all of that.
Which, honestly, when you think about it like this, especially with the way, let's say, spy movies and stuff go, they could have still probably pulled that off pretty well. I mean, of course, yeah, he wasn't going to be
dramatic, but yeah.
Yeah, of course, he wouldn't be just blowing up cars, but at the same time, you also realize that the other non-superhero characters in the movie did a crap ton in that car scene.
Honestly, Black Panther was a Black 007 movie.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that either.
I only say that because of the betting scene, man. Think if they did an all African American cast like 007, and you had that scene, and you went out from there. You can see
but that was one scene. That was one scene.
I mean, but the whole action packed of that scene, though, like they did the same type of stuff that freaking Craig Daniels would have done in 007.
So,
like the car chase and everything. Craig Daniels could have did all that. He just would have been flipping around as a cat. But he would have been the same thing.
I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying, but no, I don't know about that. But that's why. I said, going back to Winter Soldier, like I think Winter Soldier will probably be my number one just because of the payoff of Bucky Barnes from Winter Soldier up until now is a lot better than what they've done with the payoff of Black Panther thus far. And it can change. But as of right now, the payoff for Black Panther is not as good as Bucky. And
I mean,
well,
I respect your opinion. Mine still stayed the same.
Well, fair enough. So what's the next portion? Because I think we spent a lot of time on that one part.
I guess next we this is where we're gonna kind of get into spoilers.
So we're on the spoiler portion.
Yeah, we're kind of gonna be on the spoiler portion right now. So with that being said, I want to just warn you yet again, we are entering the spoiler zone.
Full warning: if you don't walk away now, you will be spoiled. Like we about to go in.
To massively spoil this. Like spoil this, like you spoiling a pregnancy results. Okay.
Wait a minute.
Right, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Like, yo, DC, who pregnant?
Straight spoilers, like straight spoilers.
It's a boy.
It's a cat.
What was you guys' favorite scene in the movie?
Favorite scene
first?
Oh, go ahead, you may.
No. Let JRPG go first because he hasn't been saying anything for me. Let him go.
Okay.
Well, the reason why I wasn't saying anything is I had some technical difficulties. But okay, so with that being said, my favorite scene I would have to say would actually be when Killmonger was laying in the pit to ingest the heart shape to become the new king. I like that scene where he was talking to his dad, and the one thing that got me was his inability to cry hard like his dad was. Like his dad was like tearing up, like breaking down, like pouring his heart and soul to tell his son, what's right and what's wrong. And I think it was the younger version of Killmonger that said, "Well, everybody dies, so what's the point of crying?" I just thought that was like kind of like one of the darker moments. Like there were some dark moments in Black Panther, but I think to me that was like a true moment of whoa, like Killmonger like just has like is cold blooded basically, like So and honestly, revealing himself to T'Challa and the rest of the Wakandans, like who his real identity was, like basically I'm of a royal bloodline. I'm actually your cousin, and hey, auntie. So I would say that's my favorite. Like when he was talking with his dad while he was taking on the challenge of being the new king, technically the new king, and when he revealed himself to the rest of the Wakanda.
Okay, what about you, Yume?
So, y'all not going to understand where I'm coming from on this one, but my favorite scene in that movie is when the rhinos came out of the ground. Because that was that one scene where I was like, what the fuck? Like, how the fuck did rhinos come out of the goddamn... I heard like 3 people next to me in the theater like, why though? It slayed me. Like it was one of those things where it's like, oh man, that's dope. And then you take like 5 seconds and be like, wait, hold up, wait a second. Why is that dope? Hold on, why is rhinos coming out of the goddamn ground? And it just fucked my mind up for a second. But that was like my favorite part. And it looked really cool, but at the same time I was sitting there like, but why though?
That's funny. What about you, Crash?
My favorite scene, and it may be hard for some people to understand this, but I know you guys will, because it was a really, really, really powerful moment in the movie, and in my opinion, it's what got the movie that 0.5 back for me. I'd almost say it was a full point up, but the simple fact of why I felt like it jumped itself back up. That's why I'm only going to give it a half a point, because it didn't erase the problems that happened before it. My favorite part of the movie was at the end, after, of course, spoilers, after Killmonger was stabbed, and him and T'Challa pretty much were talking, and T'Challa took him outside to see all of Wakanda, because that was what he was trying to get through all of his life. He brought him to the moment that he was going to. And as he talked to him, Killmonger hit him with the realest thing I've ever heard a villain in any movie ever say, and that was to bury him in the sea with his ancestors, because he knew, like his ancestors, that bondage wasn't the way. He'd rather die than be chained. That part right there was like the most powerful, powerful, powerful thing in that whole movie. And honestly, what'd you say?
No, I was saying okay. I definitely I can see where you're going. Okay.
Yeah. So it was one of those things that I feel like a lot of people watching the movie understood what he meant and could actually relate. It was the part of that movie, even though it was a couple other parts, but it was the definite part of that movie where even though he was the villain, everybody understood. Everybody was like, all right. That was like a redeeming, like, understanding of his character, to the point where it was just like, even though he did everything to the extreme, you were like, okay, he's gonna die. We know he's gonna die, and we are okay.
You hit him with
that. Like everything he did was almost like a right. It was almost like a bit of a forgiving part, because you know what he knew and you know how he felt. It's like, yeah, he went about everything all the wrong ways, but at the end, it was just like, okay. And you saw it in Black Panther's face as well as he said it.
I think that's probably gonna be one of the most quotable lines for this movie in the time and maybe even the years to come. When you look back on that movie, it's probably gonna be the most quotable line in that movie, because it probably was the most powerful like set of dialogue, set of like line in the movie in general, not necessarily dialogue, but that it was like, man, when you just think about the history, when in that scene, it made you think about the history of African Americans. Dang, like he hit Black Panther with some knowledge. hit that man with some knowledge and pulled the spear out and said, "Stay woke." With that being said, that kind of bring me even to my favorite scene, which was the throne room scene with Killmonger. I think that scene right there kind of speaks not just for the movie in itself, but I think it speaks. It's so much you can dissect from that scene, where it's tradition versus what's real. The ability to act versus the willingness to act. I think it was the most thought provoking scene because it was real. Like Killmonger basically told him, like, "Hey, look, while y'all was sitting up here in y'all peaceful little globe, shielded away from the world, your people was suffering between police brutality and being slaves. Yo, like your people basically been losing all the way around the board, and you had the ability to help them, but you did nothing." And they were saying like, well, that's not our responsibility. It's not, that's not our world. And and if you notice, even when they were talking, they were talking from the standpoint of people that could not relate, even though they had spies and they knew that what was going on. They knew that in America, Africans were slaves, but they could no longer relate. It's like, okay, well, I acknowledge that happened, but I can't relate to it because it's so far out of reach. And even when you watch the scene, they are like, oh my God, like, they basically treat him like, he's an outsider, just like they treated Everett Ross. But Killmonger hit them with some knowledge. Like, y'all had everything y'all needed to set your people free the moment they became slaves, but you did nothing. And I was like, man, like that's powerful. Like just that whole situation and how that whole conversation went, where Killmonger was like, "No, I want your throne." It's people all around the world that's suffering, and at that moment, like, I honestly was like, "Dang!" Like, I don't know if I would really say he was a villain. Yes, like he was gonna do some crazy stuff that was gonna get them. That was gonna get Wakanda blew up. Best case scenario. But at the same time, it was like he was like he hit them with some knowledge, and I was like, man, that was deep.
Yes.
I agree.
But that's the scene to me that really stuck out. That's the scene even to this day that I still talk about because I'm like, man, like I love it. But with that being said, would you
But
all
yeah,
recommend the movie to you? I guess we all can have.
for those who haven't seen the movie yet, yeah, after everything we've just said, I would definitely urge you to go see Black Panther. Go ahead, grab your tickets, spend that money, and
Yes.
Go support a black film. It's great.
go see it. Go see it. Go enjoy it. And learn something new about Marvel's African superhero.
There's some African Americans in that movie.
Yes. So with that being said, I think
I don't know if I can be heard anymore. Is everybody still there? Am I still here?
Yes, you are.
Guys.
I think Yume is lost in the sauce somewhere.
I think he muted himself.
So I mean, overall, going through,
Hello?
if you haven't seen, can Yume hear?
Hello?
Is he?
Everybody?
Hello? Yep. There you go.
Anyway, so just to
Hello?
wrap up. So while Yume sits here and try to figure himself out, let's just talk about Yume while he figures himself out, I guess.
Oh, okay. I'm back.
Oh, see. Of course, he comes back once we're.
Yume, how you doing?
Yume, how you doing?
Man, I said like a whole closing speech and everything, and none of that got heard.
Oh no, we could hear you. You just couldn't hear us.
Yeah. Oh, dang.
Fail.
Well, I mean, as long as it was heard, right?
Yeah, to a degree.
Maybe.
Sad part about that is, while you're over there having technical difficulties, your technical difficulties still didn't sound as bad as Chris. Like, oh my gosh.
That's kind of jacked.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you over the sound of your robot. You need to go over to Wakanda and get some better internet or something.
Man, look.
I'm sorry, your mic sound like it got vibranium in it, bro. We can't hear you.
I was like, I need some house shoes from Wakanda.
But of course, back on track. We, pretty much went over everything. Overall, we already gave our ratings in the beginning. It's an amazing movie. If you haven't gone to see it and you somehow happen to just listen to all the spoilers, still go see it because there's so much in that movie that was done very well. Yeah, I think it's actually a movie for all people.
Yeah,
some people may not get certain references, but I honestly still encourage everyone to go see it. It is amazing. It is great.
What a way to end Black History Month.
We still got like a whole week and a half.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah.
Black history is American history.
With that being said, we'll go ahead we're gonna go ahead and wrap up here. If you guys like what you like, hearing reviews for different movies and things like that, and want to hear more, please go ahead and tell us in the description and the comments below what you would like for us to review. Maybe we can check it out for you. If we have other things on our page as well, like Let's Plays. There's always gaming news coming out. Definitely like, subscribe, and share our page. Facebook, we're on at just search for Save Point. You will see us. YouTube, we have a bunch of videos on YouTube that you can check out. And please, 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 please continue to just stay tuned because we got a lot of stuff coming for you in 2018. There's a lot of things coming up. Hashtag Kingdom Hearts 3. But anyway, we
Doesn't
have
exist.
yep. We have a lot of things coming up. Kingdom Hearts 3. As well as some Ninja Turtles gameplay that will be coming up.
Hey,
So
don't forget DC
Teenage
Elimination
Mutant
Chamber.
Ninja Turtles.
Elimination
Yeah.
Chamber.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Elimination Chamber is in 2 weeks. Or 1 week from now.
This
with
Sunday.
WWE. Yeah, it is. Actually, yes, you're right. It is this Sunday. So we definitely have that coming up. So trust me, there is going to be a lot more content to come. So with that being said, I will see you guys when I see you. Peace.